Greetings and blessings to my EDUC 703. Peace to Dr. Nichols and to all my colleagues in the class. I'm giving you a short overview of my philosophical analysis, which was done on Comenius, Johann Amos Comenius, who is a Czech um, thinker and educational philosopher. He came from the area known as Moravia, also known as Bohemia, which was part of the Czech Republic during the Holy Roman Empire. Comenius was impacted deeply by the ravages of war and by the death of his wife and his children, which is a sad story to hear. He was a part of a small Protestant sect called the Unity of the Brethren Church, which believed in a pietism, which didn't focus on theology or, philosophical doctrines, but instead focused on living the Christian life, walking the Christian walk, doing the thing, doing for the least of these, or by maintaining self-control and gentleness and kindness and the fruits of the Spirit, as opposed to theological doctrines that had ripped Europe apart at the time during the Protestant Reformation and the Catholic rebuttal to that Reformation. So when Catholicism took over Moravia again in 1618, 1620, he was forced into exile. His wife and children died during his hiding during those years, and this was probably the genesis of his belief that education needed to be fashioned to teach everybody about the other, that the sectarian and divisive education that had been so prevalent in Europe at the time was the reason for these sectarian conflicts between Catholic and Protestant, Lutheran and Calvinist. So he developed Pan-Sophia, which was all knowledge. He taught that you needed to learn about the other person's language, the other person's culture, the other person's religion, and also not only learn about other people's religion and culture, but you also need to learn about the whole world, about science, not just believe superstitious things that are passed down from traditions from unlearned people, but instead you had to actually experience real things and the real things in the world, and the understanding of these real things was the best way for you to understand God and understanding the other person. Say, if I don't love my brother who I do see, how can I love God who I don't see? And if God created the universe and God created the world, then the best way for me to understand what God wants for me in my life and what he wants from us as humans is to understand the world that he created. So Comenius, he wrote many books. The most important two books are The Great Didactic and the Orbis Sensillum Pictoris, which the Great Didactic in Latin is opera didactum, and the Great Didactic actually talked about a method of education in which children and teachers were together in an enjoyable arena. It was no longer just recitation and corporal punishment and negative consequences, but instead it was a meaningful, pleasurable, enjoyable interaction between the students and the teachers in the classroom, where there was group instruction, there was music, there was play, learning by play, there was recess, and things of that nature. And the Orbis Selecorum talks about, there's an encyclopedic children's book that he developed in order to teach his students in Latin about the world. It was a way for them to learn Latin, not from a sense of abstract concepts like the 12 tables or Semper Fidelis for that matter. But in order for you to learn Latin by seeing real things, language comes from real things. You know, language is learning things, and you don't learn language by abstract concepts. And there was this argument in creating the Orbis Pictus, that the Orbis Pictus was a way for students to learn Latin in a way that was real to them, and he also preserved their mother tongue by doing that, because they would be able to translate what they were learning in Latin into what they had learned from their parents and from their family. So I'm a little bit over time, but that's a little bit about my paper. Hopefully you guys will be able to learn more about Comenius. It's an important thinker and scholar that we need to look at for today, because a lot of his ideas are buzzwords in today's classrooms. And that is all. God bless you guys. God bless America. God bless you, Dr. Nichols. And hopefully everybody is okay and enjoying their Sunday evening. Peace.